Hello, hello, LinkedIn universe. Welcome to Rest, Reset, and Reflect. This is a pause in if you're on the East Coast, your mid afternoon. If you're on the West Coast, your middle of your day. So, welcome. I am Nyam Aradwaji. I am a sabbatical coach and writer. I work with mid-career tech and corporate folks, empowering y'all to take transformative career breaks, whether you're coming out of burnout or if you're just in a season of introspection and reflection. So this LinkedIn Live is really just meant to be a space where you can have a little break in your day. That's not necessarily kind of like the churning of the gears in your mind, but how can we reconnect to your breath and your body for a little bit, get moving. And today I'm going to be chatting with Amy Chen, who is the CEO of Amy Chen Digital. After we do our little meditation. We're going to be chatting about reentry after sabbaticals. We both have taken sabbaticals, and we know the challenges that can come from re-entering. So stay tuned for that. And otherwise, feel free to join for the meditation. If you are at home, grab a space that feels private, that feels comfortable, feels like you can be you there. If you're maybe at the office or in other physical space, maybe you can find a quiet corner. But either way, just inviting you to find a comfortable position as we take about 10 minutes to do this guided meditation and just reconnect to your body. So, as we start to settle in, I just invite you to look around your space, see if there's anything you need to adjust to feel more comfortable. And when it feels good for you, maybe you want to close your eyes or take a soft gaze. And as you close your eyes or have that soft gaze, I just invite you to notice your breath. There's nothing that you need to change here. Just take a beat to notice how it feels for that air to move in and out of your body. Maybe you notice if it has a certain temperature or texture. To start to tune into the feeling of your breath. And as you tune into your breath, I invite you to notice if there is any way that you either want to move or maybe place your hands on your body that would help you feel more settled and grounded. Maybe you want to place your hand on your heart. Maybe you want to gently rock back and forth. Just inviting you to notice and shift your body in whatever way would help you feel more grounded. And as you tune into that grounding, I invite you to notice your base. Maybe that's where your seat is in a chair. Maybe it's where your feet are connecting with the floor. If it feels good, I just invite you to see if you can surrender your weight into these points of contact, inviting you to let these bases hold you up. And if it feels okay, letting your body become heavy. And if it feels good, I invite you to gently bring your awareness to your heart. Maybe you start to notice your breath and your heart space. And just inviting in any movement, big or small, that feels good for this area. Maybe you want to roll your shoulders back or forward. Maybe you want to do a stretch. Just inviting you to notice what's present in your heart space and move in a way that feels resonant. And as you tune into that heart space, I invite you to bring your awareness to your pelvic area. Maybe you breathe into your left hip. Maybe you breathe into your right hip. Maybe you start to bring awareness to your center. Just starting to notice what's present and alive in this area of your body. And just as with the heart space, maybe you feel called to do a movement, big or small, that opens up this area. Maybe there's a twist or a stretch. And as you continue just to tune into your body, I want to invite you to consider this next question that I'll offer. And as I mention it, just inviting you to see what emerges from your body, not needing to push or force a response, just seeing if there is a movement that comes in response to the question, maybe even a sound. Just inviting you to tune into what's alive in your body in response to this question. Where do I need recalibration? Where do I need recalibration? And just inviting you to sit or breathe with or move with that question for a beat. And as you hold that question, inviting you to notice what you want to take away from what's arisen. Maybe you want to offer your body gratitude for what your body has shown you. Maybe you want to offer your body gratitude just for being, for the way your body has carried you through today. And as you offer that gratitude to yourself and to your body, inviting you to gently re enter into the space. Maybe you want to take a deep breath or a sigh. Maybe you want to do a shake of your shoulders, stretch, or a roll. Maybe you want to look around your room to reorient to your space. And whenever it feels good for you, wherever you are, inviting you to gently open your eyes and re engage with the space. I hope that was a supportive time for folks. And if there was anything that emerged, you feel led to share, you can always feel free to shoot me a note in the DMs in LinkedIn. With that, I'll transition us to the next segment of our time. And I will invite Amy to come on screen. Hello.
Hello, internet world.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
So,
that meditation, that was very good. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for that. Thank you for leading
oh,
us.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I saw that my screen had gone to sleep for a little bit, so I hope y'all didn't. I hope y'all were just vibing with yourselves.
We were sleeping too. Yeah, it was great. Everyone went to sleep.
So yeah, I hope y'all were just vibing with yourselves, and it was great. But I just give a little context. So Amy and I met in these LinkedIn streets.
We did. We out here in these streets. So we thought, let's just continue staying. Like, let's just stay on LinkedIn. Let's never leave. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So stay in the LinkedIn universe, and I connected with Amy because I saw that you were on a sabbatical. I think you
Yes.
were just or just coming back.
I was like posting about my sabbatical on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and so you, so had just reached out, and then we had a lovely chat, and you talked about you have
Yeah.
a practice of taking a sabbatical. Is it every year?
Yeah, every year I take a sabbatical.
Yes, and so, so yeah, so just and we had kind of talked about maybe collaborating on something, and thought
Yeah.
about this topic of re-entry. So, I'll Amy, I would love for you to kind of introduce yourself and tell a little bit of your sabbatical story.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And like that, thank you for describing our very fun meet cute. But I think it's like classic internet, like it's of this time, right? Where you just find people on the internet and you really connect. And so that's something that I do enjoy from our like really close world online world that we live in now. Yeah, so let me share a little introduce myself and just kind of share a little bit about my sabbatical story with you all. So I'm an independent consultant now, and but before going, oh, actually, this year is my 5th year. Yeah, just kinda taking a beat. May 2021 is when I started my business, and then in, 2022 is when I took my first sabbatical. So before going independent, I was working as a consultant at a PR agency where, the norm was to work 60, 80-hour weeks, and it was re and in fact, it was rewarded that you not could actually work that much and produce this high quality level of work, and clients loved you, and you people it was it was addicting because you just kept getting promoted when you worked harder and faster and longer, and you were more efficient. Honestly, at it was 4 years there, and it felt like 8. And I honestly can't remember a weekend in those 4 years where I didn't work. And
Yeah.
and then I describe it, I was like, I consider, like, even just checking my work email on the
Yeah.
weekend because I feel like something's happening, I have to check on it,
Yeah.
or something is going on and I need to be on,
Yeah.
that I consider working. When you really can't actually create boundaries
Yeah.
around, like, your work and like, personal life, like, that's what it felt like, and, I mean, I didn't have control over my
Mhm.
life, and, so honestly, being constantly available, was expected and it was rewarded, like I mentioned. And I think what I experienced of what we now understand culturally as burnout, it was just called doing a good job.
Yeah.
Like, it was natural for people to burn out at that company, and nobody cared. People were like, "Okay, well, you just gotta, like, work through the burnout."
Oh,
Like,
wow.
tired, like, work through it. Yeah, so, and so the reason I started just to start my own business is, and what excited me most wasn't just the independence, it was the possibility of really taking back my time
Yeah.
and being more intentional with how work fit into my life. So, and sabbaticals have become a core part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people can certainly relate in terms of that the point that you made in terms of it being normalized
Yeah,
to work that many hours,
it's
it being
hard.
normalized to be burned out, and that there
Mhm.
not isn't necessarily like, "Oh, man, like, you're burned out, take a beat." Like, "Nah, just push through it."
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of just push through it, or I mean, I think also it was like, 2 of those, years that I worked at that agency were during COVID. So,
Mm, yeah,
it was also like that conversation of mental health,
yeah,
started to become more prevalent, which, great. I wish we'd talked about it earlier. So then when there was more consideration, like, culturally at the company to, like, just check in more with people, how they're doing, um, that was good, but it kind of felt a little bit late, but I was, like, appreciative for the people that could have some of that later on.
yeah,
And then, but yeah, no, it's tough. I think the culture that we live in makes it really hard to, one, I mean, I think even taking some I'll just throw this out there, like, feeling guilty to take a sabbatical,
yeah,
feeling guilty to, put yourself first and not put profit first
yeah,
and productivity first. So, yeah, no, sabbaticals are just a huge part of my life now.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't wait to tell you all about it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so tell us, yeah, how did you end up taking your first sabbatical?
Yeah, yeah. I'll let me get into that story, and then I'll kind of maybe talk about what it feels like to come back,
Yeah,
because I've done it a few times, and I really do think, our topic about reentry is so critical. I think it came out of our own, or our
yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
Um, and that's why we're here today. But so I think I really wanted to, so the sabbatical idea kind of came in because, I started reading more about burnout
mm,
and the
yeah,
solutions for burnout, and everything I started reading and listening to podcasts was like, they were saying, like, you gotta actually take a break. You actually gotta get off the hamster wheel and reset your body. And so I love all the body work that you do. And because I think that's where you have to start
Yeah.
is start listening to your body because I work so much, I didn't have an exercise routine.
Mhm.
I also worked East Coast hours, so I was like working through meals.
Mhm. And you're in California just
And I
for
was in California. Oh, sorry. I was working based in California, and then but most of my team was in New York.
Mhm.
I had to like wake up with my team.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I would work when they got off work and I would continue work.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when I went independent, it largely the goal of the sabbatical was like, can I even do it? It
Yeah.
wasn't even like what am I, there was no plan after
Yeah.
just let's just try to make it happen for myself because of our culture of people don't really do it unless it's a rarity you
Yeah.
hear about it.
Yeah.
And this was going to be a paid sabbatical. I was paying myself,
Yeah.
but I was also paying a subcontractor to come in and take over my contracts
Mhm.
for months because I had a 1-year contract with one of my clients. So
Huh.
that was a little tricky to like
Mm.
client, like, hey, I'm gonna be gone for 2 months. But you're still gonna pay me to do things for you. So I didn't say it like that, but they were very understanding. But you can even tell intellectually they got it, but they were like, so wait, what's gonna happen? There were a lot of like process questions, and so it all worked out. And so I think part of it was the question was like, what could I do? And so I started to make a plan, like who's going to sublet my place?
Yeah.
How much money do I need? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And so I decided to spend 2 months traveling through Portugal and Spain.
Mhm.
And so it was just a 2-month trip
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
my entire sabbatical. And I'm so glad I did it because it was 2022
Mhm.
and we're still masked up in the US. So it was exciting to like get to Europe and they had moved on. They
Yeah.
were like, masks, we're good. So I took off my mask. And I was like,
Um,
okay, free. We all remember that. So that was really, really good for me. But then coming back was, I think, my questions to myself were, am I just gonna kind of go back to business as usual? And
Yeah.
so I was like, I had a lot of anxiety coming back. I really did because of the unknown of what is it going to be like. One, are my clients pissed off at me that I
Mm.
left them? Um, it was a lot of how do I reintegrate myself,
Yeah.
not only at work, but also in life, because I was away for 2 months. And what about all my relationships back home? And then ultimately, how do I take what I've learned from my sabbatical
Mhm.
about slowing down and like being more intentional, and how do I bring it into my life? So I think I would say, like, since I just finished my fourth sabbatical,
Mm.
I think I'm getting a lot of good practice in on the
Yeah.
re-entry. Yeah. But it is hard. I would say, if I were to kind of create the headline, I would say there's always a culture shock, especially if you end up doing travel. You leave this very specific American bubble, and whether you go to your home country, you go experience a different place, like there's always gonna be like reintegration into American life, but also just your life. So, or if you do something else, like working and not working. Like
Yeah.
when you realize when you're not working and spending most of your day working, you start to like get excited about what the day can bring you, what the day presents. So that's always a bit of a shock is like, oh my God, I have to work now. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we're back.
go like every day on sabbatical because last sabbatical I traveled for 2 months, but then I spent 3 months not traveling, just staying and resting,
Yeah.
hanging out with people. And I got used to wake up every day being like, what should I do today? Who
Right.
knows?
Right.
I'm just gonna eat. Like it's just every day
Nature waits.
being
Yeah.
incredibly present with the day. Yeah. And
Yeah.
not feeling like overwhelmed with to-dos at
Yeah.
all. I think I would just get one thing done and I'd be like, "Oh, I did laundry today. That sounds good."
Yeah. Yeah. There's just so much more, and obviously it can be different depending on people's different experiences. But yeah, from my experience, I'm a
Wow.
sabbatical too, very used to like just like, okay, wake up whenever my body is like ready to wake up. It's
Mhm.
like,
That's true. No alarms. I don't have alarms during sabbaticals.
yeah, no alarm, just wake up when you wanna wake up.
Yeah.
and you just have fluidity. And for me, I also experience it as like I could just move with my body's natural rhythms. Because when you're working, particularly if you're working for an employer,
Yeah.
even if they're pretty flexible, like you do generally still have to like work within a certain time frame. I mean, some people are kind of like really like able to, I don't
Depends,
know.
like, it depends on, like, your own job, like, how like, what kinda job you have too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so to your point, it can be
Mhm.
quite jarring when you have taken the sabbatical. You either, your rhythm is different because you've been able to set up a new rhythm. People a lot of
Mhm.
times are able to be more present to their family or friends in a certain way. And you do have these insights
Yeah.
that you often gain, even if maybe you had an intentional time of reflection, which for me that was part of it, but maybe it was also just kind of a time of
Yeah.
taking a step back from work, and
Yeah.
you realize what's important to you. So I'm curious for you, especially since you have a few rounds under your belt of
Yeah.
re-entering. What are your thoughts on why it's so difficult to enter back in?
Yeah, I think it's because there's more things to juggle, and
Mm,
there's more inputs. I think there's more, coordination gotta be
yeah,
doing. I for me, the whatever when I know when I'm back to like, back when it's really post-sabbatical life and back in my work life, I call it my sabbatical mode and work mode.
yeah,
Now when I'm back in work mode is when, ooh, the inbox is flooded, is coming
mhm,
in,
yeah,
meetings are the calendar is starting to fill up. Usually I would like struggle to not struggle, never a struggle, but usually I had to like one catch up call with a friend. Like and
yeah,
now I'm like things are like now my life is organized around Zooms
yeah, yeah,
most of the week. Yeah. And then I think your whole system has to readjust. It's a mind, body, soul readjustment. And
yeah,
that's really hard to do. And I just don't think we frame rest and resetting that way.
yeah,
But that's kind of what it feels like. And I think it's and then how I've, like, really like, balanced it all with the reentry and what makes it feel really sustainable, like, when I because done the I've done, like, the off-ramping, like, going from work to sabbatical,
yeah,
the best time. It's like when I because it's like I feel I get, like, a month out before the sabbatical, I just get, I mean, this is the internet, but I was gonna cuss, but I was like, I get fucking pumped. Like, a month out, I get, like, a
yeah,
little, like, countdown. It's
mhm,
the final
yeah, yeah,
countdown, and
yeah,
then I get yeah, because I start to look at the like, and then I'm
mhm,
like, "I'm gonna get paid in a month," and so, I got, like I'm like, get that final payment,
yeah,
and then I'm, like, off, and so that the ramp like, the off-ramp is great. The on-ramp is where, I think I basically, like, have almost 2 different daily practices. Like, when I'm working, it's definitely trying to do a good job and do my job well, and then it's, "Oh, man, I really gotta exercise more frequently," like, because
mm,
my body is constantly stiff.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I really try to, really enjoy my weekends.
yeah,
Really like, I really take a lot of that restful sabbatical practice into the weekend,
mhm, mhm,
and try not to overschedule myself either. Like, I
yeah,
try to, like, basically live how I live during sabbatical. And if sometimes I have a busy day, I don't get upset about it, It's like, "Okay, that's just a busy day.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay. It's
yeah,
okay." Like, the days are like that now, and so, again, I think it's, what I take from the sabbatical is, like, just being more present in life, and so I just don't take work as seriously as much,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
I feel like, it's cool. It's like, I gotta work, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
And whereas, like, I think knowing that I will have another break, that
yeah,
I can have another break keeps me going. Whereas I know some people don't have that privilege of they are going back to an employer and they may not get another request for sabbatical for a year or two or another few
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there is no immediate like short-term like break, but beyond like our vacation, I guess that we get
Yeah.
to take. So um that I feel really lucky. Like I mean just to be able to sit here and say, "Oh, I'm a little frozen."
A
Okay.
little bit frozen, but,
It's a great pose though. I was like in a thinking pose. But the best thing is when you work for yourself, you can make those choices for yourself.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of things that I appreciate about what you mentioned.
Mhm.
One is that, you know, I think folks, you can acknowledge that these are different seasons. It's different to be in a working season, it's different to be in a sabbatical season, and that's okay. And I also appreciate what you mentioned about having daily practices that are attuned to those different seasons. Um, and I would also invite for folks too that, um, you know, so Amy's self-employed, but even if you are employed by an employer, how can you how can you even like we're still pretty much at the start of the year. How can you even like look at your calendar for the year and
Yeah.
take advantage of the holidays, and maybe tack on other days so that you can create little, windows for yourself where you can
Mhm.
have that relief or like that break to look forward to
Mhm.
instead of just like, well, I'm just gonna like power through the whole year. And kind of wait till the end of the year and crash out. I know in the US, like we're pretty bad about taking our vacation. Like
Yeah.
Europeans are like, I'm going to be off the whole month of August. I will not be in contact.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I was gonna add to what I know, I think I mean, until like we as a society have a culture shift around
Yeah.
like breaks and productivity and the
Mhm.
impact of capitalism, I do think I like what you suggested of what we can how we can like the insights we've taken on sabbaticals and how we can integrate them into our day-to-day practice. So yeah, I think, looking at the calendar and taking a Friday off and then tacking that onto like a 3-day weekend that like a holiday already, so you get a 4-day
Yeah.
weekend. I know a lot of people do that, and like I think the next one would be maybe like I guess we have some other holidays coming up. But even if it's not a holiday, just taking a half if you can, just taking a half day,
Yeah.
again, it depends on your place of work and how flexible they are and everything like that. But I think it's worth it versus, like, saving all of your vacation that we normally do and then putting like, having 10 days be, like, your only break
Yeah.
throughout the year.
Yeah.
I think, like, taking, let's see, another thing that I like to do is, like, during the workday, I'd really build in breaks. So, I really try if I do have a 2-hour block, really, I create 2-hour blocks, if you can, right? So you have to create the break, and it's really more about boundaries around what you can do, but I try to go on a walk or every day at 4 PM, I gotta go walk the dogs anyway.
Mhm.
Or I go out and make sure, like, if I'm gonna go have lunch, I try to do it outside,
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
the things that we already know to do, but I think just being, like, making sure you don't override those breaks as you get busy. That's the biggest thing is you can build it in, it's on the cal, but you could just ignore it. So don't ignore it is what I'm trying to say. Don't override the breaks that you need throughout the day, and just being more purposeful if you can, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do also I think the intentionality around the time off we do have and what we can do with our schedules. I do also want to acknowledge that,
Mhm.
and you'd spoken to this as well. Part of this is a societal and cultural thing
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
particularly in the US, that work is really centralized in our
Yeah.
culture. And there is, particularly like in tech and corporate sectors, there is also often and sometimes it's not like verbally spoken, but maybe it's modeled, particularly by like leadership, that it's like you know, like of not taking breaks, of, you know, or of, depending, again, this kind of depends on where you are in the mix of things in terms of your level, but like, you know, or being put in situations where maybe there's like unrealistic deadlines, and so then you find your team like needing to like grind to meet this deadline. So I do want to
Mhm.
acknowledge that, like, and I want to say to folks, because in my experience,
Yeah.
even if you have had a really uh, transformative time on your sabbatical or career break, and even if you have changed your relationship to rest, to work, and to your body, most likely, if you're returning to an organization, the the culture there has not changed.
Mhm.
And so this is more in relationship to like, if you were in an organization where like you're like, I love the culture, it's great, it works for you. So this is more like if you're in a situation where maybe even if it's not that it's bad, it's just that you most likely will come back into that context and be like, whoa, like this is a lot. And that
Yeah.
was my experience when I came back
Mhm.
in 2023, and I totally didn't like hold to really to any of the things I had gotten from my sabbatical when I started a contract in
Mm.
2023. I found myself like right back into like,
Um,
well, I'm working really long hours. I felt like I was like sick for like 2 months, but I was still
mm.
working.
Yeah.
And one, that's a societal cultural thing. And I
Yeah.
also think that there is an aspect of like our bodies have also gotten used to often working in certain ways. So it's kind of like survival, because it's like, well, this is how the culture is, like this is what I got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I want to mention that for folks, because I do want to mention that it's not. I don't think it's just like you need to have like enough willpower. I do think that there are some real challenges. And I
Mm.
think that's where, you know, some of the things that Amy and I are chatting about, of like, hey, how can you put these into practice?
Yeah. I think, when we wrote our article together and we shared it, like, last week, I saw someone comment on how, because, like, you know, they've changed from post-sabbatical, like, from their sabbatical, but their company culture hadn't changed, and then they decided to advocate for not just themselves, but for others
Yeah.
to start to do some culture change work, and so it's exciting to hear that people felt like coming back from sabbatical, like, motivated,
Yeah.
because that's another thing too. It's like when you are, you know, burning the candle both when you're feeling that burnout, you can barely, like, show up every day as your full self, right? So, I think even just taking that rest and being coming in and saying like, "All right, there are just some things that I'm not they're not gonna change,
Yeah.
but here are some things that, like, I do feel like is doable." And so, you start to make, like, an impact, which is also great to see too, I think. And two, I don't know how you feel, but, I mean, culture is shaped by people, it's by us, you
Mhm.
know? We shift things, and culture shifts so fast in this country too.
Mm.
We were constantly in this, like, pendulum,
Yeah.
and, but it moves fast, so it doesn't, like, it's uncomfortable, but it doesn't last very long. So I think just even seeing, just to kind of put a more positive framing on it, is I do even see, like, the emphasis on mental health in the
Mhm.
workplace, um, the, kind of people, like, I mean, I hate the cultural term, like, the quiet quitting.
Ah,
I hate that. I don't
all
think we
these all these little workplace terms.
"Why quitting?" I was like, "Just quit. You could just it's not a big deal."
Yeah.
So, I think that's another thing, is, like, people saying, like, "Can I just quit?" It's like, yeah, if you feel like this isn't working for you in your life, like, there are ways to change it, and I think that's
Mhm.
another thing too, is really, like, reentry is hard, but it's so informative on, like, who you
Yeah.
wanna be, and I think it just creates more intentionality. So whether it's staying in your workplace and trying to make a change, or just kind of like having a different mindset going into work,
Yeah.
that's that's
Yeah.
good, to help make it more sustainable. Or you realize, hey, this shit is not sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Yes. Great, I'm so glad. Great, Elandra. Elandria. Yeah, so I think that there's work that we can do as individuals, but I also just wanna shout out your work as a sabbatical coach. Like, we need more people like, help people like you out in the world stewarding us.
Mm,
And really, like, we need leaders to not just be like, a model for us because there's very little models out there.
yeah,
If we can't see it, we can't dream it and then make it and then turn it into action. But it's also we need guidance.
yeah,
We don't know we don't know how to do this.
sure.
So I am really excited about the future of sabbaticals. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think they are, um I think they are in a way becoming normalized. It's
Yeah.
in, mostly in
What
the
are you
corporate,
seeing? What are you seeing? I'm curious
yeah,
about
in the corporate and tech sector. They
yeah.
It's been more common in religious and academia, right?
Academia, yeah,
Although
definitely.
I don't know if it was necessarily focused on rest. It's still like, now you can do some more research, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think there are more companies that are have sabbatical policies. It seems like more kind of in the UK, like that.
Mm,
There are some US companies though that have sabbatical policies where, after a certain tenure, like 5 years, you get, say,
yeah,
like a 6 week sabbatical.
yeah,
There's also, I think we're seeing more people who are self-initiating sabbatical.
yeah.
I just spoke to someone yesterday who she had a team and was leading. She realized that she was just kind of sensing like, "Oh, it kinda seems like this is not quite in alignment with me anymore."
Mm, mm,
She she basically started planning on her own, like, "Okay, this is how I'm gonna, financially, logistically plan to take off." I think her plan was for 6 months, and
mm,
she had already made that decision,
mm.
but she went ahead and pitched, like, "Can you pay me severance?" She was like, "Maybe they'll say no." But they
Oh,
said yes, right? So, an
oh,
example
great.
of there are people who are starting to initiate it, and I think the more people that do those kind of things, it opens up the possibility
Mhm.
for others to say like, "Oh, well, how can I think about how I make this happen for myself?" And it
Yeah,
may not be a year, it may not be
yeah,
months, and that's okay, right? I think everybody has different seasons, different needs, different responsibilities. I am of the mind, how can you, in the context you're in the season you're in,
mhm.
if you need, maybe a more concentrated time off, do that. And either way, how do you meaningfully incorporate rest and rejuvenation into your day-to-day life? Because that you need regardless of anything, like, that's vital. And I think that in some ways that might even be the more important practice.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you framed it around, like, people working within their own institutions and trying to, like, there's some places, some organizations where they didn't have, like, certain leave policies,
Yeah.
and it's because, like, somebody had that situation, they're like, "Oh, I think we should make a policy about this." So, it just takes one person to, like, start a precedent, right? And then other people see it, and they're like, "Oh, well, so and so did it."
Yeah.
And, people start to kind of get excited and inspired. I think just being courageous
Mhm.
and other people feel inspired by it and feeling that support. And I love your point about initiation. I think that's kind of what I did too, and I think and I have the ability to do it. If you have the ability to do it, I would take more time off because
Mhm.
um I had a friend who recently took a sabbatical and she did it like within her company and then she got paid like half of her salary for
Okay. Okay.
4 months.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty nice and long.
Yeah.
And then came back right back to it and was like just kind of the
Yeah.
same everything like was the same. And so that's been really hard, that reentry. Um, but I would say that but it feels like a shooting star, like a once in a time, and I think there needs to be more than, like, you put in 5 years, then you get a 2-month
Mhm. Yeah.
sabbatical.
Yeah.
Can we have different, like, can we lower the barriers of entry for
Yeah.
people?
Yeah.
Maybe it's more of a I don't know, maybe you and I should come up with a policy, like, it should be, like, tiered. It's like, "Hey, you've worked here 2 years, you can take a month off,"
Yeah.
or, like, "You worked here for" and so, and I think it also helps send a signal, I would say this to organizations, like, or if you're someone that works in an organization, like, "Hey, that's a good idea."
Yeah.
Ask the organization to say, "Can we do, like, a progressive sabbatical
Mhm. Yeah.
policy?"
Yeah.
And I think this also builds goodwill. It builds, like it shows, like, there's a value proposition of being at that place.
Yeah.
It gives people something to, like, look forward to. It's like, "Hey, I put in my work and
Yeah.
I get this, and if I keep working here, I can get more."
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think it's not always just compensation
Yeah.
that is like, to reward people. I think you could also reward if we reframe it as we're rewarding people for their hard work by giving them a break from the
Mhm.
work, I'll take that in my benefits package.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, let's start it now. Let's start a campaign.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think it is a very attractive benefit, for folks, and I think there are organizations that are thinking about it in terms
Yeah.
of sustainability for, for people that are working for them, right? We know that I think across, honestly, like, almost all industries, burnout is a huge issue,
That's
so
another big thing is that people are quitting because of the burnout, and there's, like and then organizations are offering them nothing.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
offering no support.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
they could take, my friend also needed a real break, but also needed to move into more of a primary caregiver
Mhm.
position with
Mhm.
their like a member of their family, and the only solution at their organization was to take for them to go on medical leave.
Mm.
And then so they did medical leave, and then they end up being, like they moved into, like, more of a severance, and they
Yeah.
just never went back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but their life needed to drastically change, like,
Yeah.
their priorities had to shift. And
Yeah.
so in a way and then when I said to them, "Well, you're basically taking a sabbatical," they're like, "No, I'm not. I'm on medical leave." I was like,
Mm.
"Okay."
Yeah.
And then that turned into a year, and I was like, "So you're on sabbatical, right?" And they're like, "I guess." So it's like it's
Yeah.
people like, it's helping people see it's okay to take the break.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
good, but we're doing it, we're doing it, yeah.
We're doing it.
We're
Yes.
doing
And I do also wanna offer we've talked about a few things that people can practically do. So I wanna offer a couple of more things, right? So, if you are, kind of that fiery spirit and you want to go in and be like, I'm gonna advocate either for myself to take time off, or for, us to can this organization create a sabbatical policy. I also want to let folks know you may want to go ahead and just check your employee handbook because some
Yeah,
organizations actually do have a sabbatical policy. You just may not know about it. But I also wanna invite, like, if you are just in a situation where you're like, "Okay, how can you re-enter in a way where you feel empowered?" Uh,
mhm,
because I can already tell you now, if you don't have a plan for coming back from your sabbatical and re-entering the workforce, like, it's like, you need to come in with what do you know that you need for yourself in, how you work, how you rest. If you've had insights about what your values are, how do you what does that actually look like in practice, right?
mhm,
In terms of, like, how does that impact your schedule? How does that impact how you approach your work and your life? Um,
mhm,
so a couple of things that I would offer, and I'm curious if you have practices that you do.
yeah.
One of the main things I would say is have some type of morning time that you
Mm,
sacred. And I'm not saying it needs to be you wake up at 5 a.m. and you do walk in an ice bath and you do meditation for
yeah,
3 hours.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Maybe it's even just 10 minutes, but that I would invite folks. I always say it's like don't start your day with screen, a computer. Don't start your day with a computer
mhm,
screen, a tablet screen, you know, and tune into yourself. So whether that's through, maybe you journal, maybe you just do some breath work, meditation, maybe you stretch. Maybe you just like lie in bed for like 10 minutes to just kind of,
Love that.
but like just some way to um, start the day for yourself that's not immediately jumping into like now you have all these other people's thoughts and energy before you've even reconnected with yourself for a day. Because I think that's a practice I've started doing
Mhm.
helps me then be more grounded for when the motion of the day kicks off. So I'm curious if you have a practice that you or practices that you help you re-enter into the work post sabbatical.
Yeah, I love that. I think, and it works for me with what you suggest about the morning because I'm actually a morning person.
Mm,
So I really enjoy, I'm the most energetic,
yeah.
focused in the morning. So that's a good reminder though, like don't immediately like check the phone and
Mhm.
scroll. So is I really enjoy coffee. So I like actually spend 20 minutes making coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, like grind the beans, like,
Yeah.
so I get into more non-screen meditative practices, like making my coffee, sipping my drink, making a breakfast, so I spend an hour if I can on hopefully 2 or 3 times a week, like, actually making breakfast and sitting down for breakfast versus I try not to eat while and work.
Yeah. Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah, these are all these things that you see people do and everyone knows like, "I gotta cut that out," but
Yeah.
it's just like a habit now
Yeah.
and, like, you feel like it works, so you're like, "Okay."
Yeah.
But I love that morning I love also, like, a grounding meditation in the morning, I think
Mhm.
is good. Yeah, but just if you can, if you know you don't have a meeting until maybe 10 or 11 that day, like, take the morning.
Yeah.
Get up early and take the morning, or try to get more work done, so hopefully you can get off at, like, 4 or
Mhm.
something. And, um and sometimes even trying to sneak in an errand is really random, but it helps, like, break up my day, and I was like, so, like, doing like, a non-work related task,
Yeah.
um, is helpful. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. But also touching grass, literally touching grass would be good.
Yes. Yes, like literally
Yeah.
I was very guilty of this in past jobs where like I would be the one eating at the desk
Same.
during
Yeah.
lunch. But I had other colleagues who they were always very good about like lunch or like, nope, we're like leaving.
Yeah.
I think that is
Boundary setting. Yeah.
boundary setting. And I think to also invite that to folks too. Like if you're working in a space where you're in the office, you're with other people, I think like enlist other people into the change that you're trying to do,
Yeah.
right?
Get
Like
more
of,
yeah.
of going to lunch, do a little coffee break.
Yeah.
And I would say put it on the calendar, right?
Mm.
And it kind of gets into this other practice of uh navigating and negotiating your calendar, but
Yeah.
start making it a practice for yourself that it's in there, um, and doing the inner work to also hold to it, right? Because I think there is then we can start to examine, like, if there's, like, discomfort around, like, "Well, I have, like, this time blocked off for lunch, but, like, everybody keeps scheduling over it."
Yeah. Like, "Hey, don't schedule over the lunch." Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
Which, because yeah, some places are, like, and I've worked at places where, like, I really, really try if someone has, like, lunch blocked off, the only reason I do is, like, literally if it's, like but I normally ask them if
Yeah, I feel like the people have gotten I mean, in my experience, I feel like when people block out certain breaks and things, I really try and then especially now to write sacred, I think I think culturally people respect it, and then but if they really have no other option, they should ask
yeah,
you,
yeah,
right? So, but yeah, that's not something, yeah, I think that could be something that we can work on, that people can work on,
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
The other thing that I would wanna invite is from there's a book called Burnout by, Amy and Emily Gowski. I don't know if
Yeah,
I'm saying her
yeah,
name right, but
yeah.
she's a scientist, and so she in that book talks about burnout from a scientific and somatic perspective.
Mm,
She talks about stress and how our bodies just physiologically have a process that they go through with stress. And so, for example, if you see a gazelle in the wild and a lion is chasing the gazelle, this gazelle kicks into fight or flight mode so they can run. But then once it's in safety, it kind of does a little something to reset the system. But the issue for us sometimes is that our bodies are like going into fight and flight mode, when, say we're doing a big important presentation at work or we have a fight with a partner,
yeah.
but like we're not having a way that stress, that physiological process is completing.
Mhm.
She talks about like the importance of, if you can, every single day completing the stress cycle in your body,
Yeah.
meaning like meaning like it's not just an intellectual thing, like your body, so like through some type of movement, and it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm hitting the gym, whatever, like it can be shaking, it can be, you can be dancing, it can
Yeah.
be creative expression, it can be a walk, but some way that you're finishing that stress cycle every day so that it's not just sitting there in your body
Mhm.
day after day after day. So that's another practice that I would invite people
Yeah.
into. The way I would typically do it, like with working, was like an end of day walk if I
Mhm.
can, because it just helps kind of like, you know, tr- let that energy release out through a walk.
Yeah, I did read, I double checked, I because I have Goo like, we were on our computers, but, yeah, Emily and Amelia Nagoski. Yeah, I did read that actually because I was
Oh,
like, I experienced burnout. What do I do about it?"
yeah.
So, I did read about the stress cycle and, exercise, expedites, like, the actual stress
Mhm.
cycle. So it actually allows you to get to the end quicker,
Yeah.
and you have, like, a relief. So if you're someone that doesn't like to sit, or
Yeah.
who does like to sit in, like, stress,
Mhm.
that's great. That's what I really, like, started to lean in on, like, well, what is my exercise routine? Like, what do I need? And so, yeah, earlier this week, I felt very stressed and my body was really tired from working, and I was like, "I gotta go on a run." You
Yeah.
know, I gotta go on a run, and it wasn't even like, it's not like let's run 3 miles at a pace, I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
assign myself goals. I was like, "I'm just gonna do a light jog around the neighborhood and start to, like, increase my heart rate."
Yeah. Yeah.
And, my mind wandered to not about work, but, "Oh, cool, like, our neighbor, like, finally figured it out. They, like, finally sold that RV. It looks
Yeah.
great." Like, I started to just notice things more,
Yeah.
and I came back and, and then also I took a lovely, refreshing shower
Mhm.
after, and that only took, like, 30 minutes of my
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it really does help. Something I will add, I don't know if folks, like, love it, but I love to cook,
Mhm.
and so doing something, again, without your screen, with your hands. So I think doing something with your hands, whether it's, like,
Yeah.
crafting, or cooking or gardening or whatever it is, like, doing, like, stuff with your hands is really
Yeah.
helpful to get to that end of the stress cycle.
Yeah.
And, so for me, when I do get off work, I'm, like, already, like, ready to I'm meal planning, and I'm
Mhm.
excited to make something to nourish my mind and my body.
Yeah.
And I get to just focus on cooking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really, yeah, so I really enjoy the morning, like, making my breakfast, and, like, I've been, like, getting into pickling, and so I was like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
how are my pickles doing?" And,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, little things like that. So I think that's really helpful. So I feel like we gave everyone a lot of ideas, lots of tips. If you guys I was gonna ask if more questions and things come up, like, you know where to reach us. We're in the comments. Yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can feel free to comment, feel free to send a DM, and I'd also love to hear
Mhm.
if there are any one of these, suggestions or points of the conversation that really resonated.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elandria, I hope I'm saying your name right, for your comments, and, we're just about at the end of our hour. So, wanting to thank you, Amy,
Thank
for
you so much for inviting me.
story.
Yeah.
And where can folks find you and if they want to kind of connect with you more?
Yeah, well, so I still have my consulting business. I do like digital communications and project management. So amychendigital.com. It's just my name and digital together. And this year I'm working until August because that's when I'll go on sabbatical.
Hey,
So every year so when I plan the year, I set the sabbatical date, I set the end date, and then I just work backwards.
nice.
And so to really protect that 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 time that I need to reset and have that break and reflection. Something else is honestly through a few sabbaticals, and it's something I realized, I really want to. I have a new passion project that I wanted to launch, and last year during my last sabbatical, I got to spend that time trying to figure out what that passion project is. So I was able to take some of that energy and put it into something new and exciting that I'm excited about. So yeah, I'm starting like you're already on Substack, you're a Substack queen, but I'm joining Substack. So is everybody else. But I'm starting a travel Substack called People We Meet While Traveling. So it's stories, kind of like a Humans of New York,
Yeah.
but it's stories about people that I've met while traveling. And the framing can also be like meeting myself as well. So self-reflections as well, like my own self journey, or usually if I'm traveling with people, like talking about meeting each other and rediscovering each other while on this trip too. So, it's called People We Meet While Traveling, and I haven't posted yet, but if you guys like subscribe, you'd be the first subscribers.
Yay.
Yeah, but I'm really excited about it, and I think it's another way to just express myself and like reflect on things that I've learned during sabbatical. Yeah.
I love that. I love
Wow.
that.
Mhm.
Yes, I'll check it out when you let me know when you have it.
Thank you.
And for folks who are listening, if you are someone who is thinking about a sabbatical, but you want support in terms of how to marry both the possibility of one and the pragmatic realities, I am launching this month my soulful sabbatical strategy. This is an experience reflection and planning experience for folks to have the chance to tune into their inner wisdom about what they need and want in terms of a sabbatical vision, and for us to partner together in assessing the risk, the options, and the opportunities for your sabbatical. So send me a DM if you want to learn more about that information. And otherwise,
Yeah.
thank you again, Amy, for being
Thank you
here.
so much. So
And
great to be here. So fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
and everyone have a great rest of your day wherever you are.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.